Why does NASCAR not retire numbers? Should NASCAR retire the car numbers of its all-time best drivers to honor them? Two of the most interesting questions in NASCAR have to do with the fact that the sport doesn't retire numbers and that the governing body doesn't take away wins when a driver fails post-race inspection. Hello everyone, welcome back to NASCAR Zone. In today's episode, we will talk about why NASCAR does not retire numbers. But before we begin, make sure you subscribe to our channel and click the bell icon so you don't miss any of our amazing videos. And let's begin.
Down, you're in my domain, got the whole crowd screaming out our name. It's a blowout.
In an interview with NASCAR Live on the Motor Racing Network in 2016, NASCAR Chief Brian France talked about a number of NASCAR-related topics. NBC Sports later reported on what he said. Two of the more interesting things that were talked about were why NASCAR doesn't retire car numbers when drivers leave the sport and why NASCAR doesn't take away wins from drivers whose cars fail post-race inspection. Here are the answers that France gave to both questions. What's the deal with NASCAR not retiring the numbers? When Richard Petty left NASCAR, Dale Earnhardt died, and Jeff Gordon and Tony Stewart said they were retiring. NASCAR fans asked if their famous numbers would be retired. Even though there were good reasons to do so in every case except Stewart, NASCAR decided not to do anything in every case. France talked about why NASCAR doesn't retire numbers on MRN. A lot of what the teams do is based on that number. One good example is Richard Childress. With the 3, he has a lot to do with Richard Childress Racing. We are not likely to do that. NASCAR's main point of view in this case is that the numbers are the team's brand, and if NASCAR took away the numbers, it could hurt the teams and, in the end, the product. Why don't drivers lose wins for failing post-race inspections? Let me know in the comments. Fans have also been wondering for a long time why NASCAR lets race winners who fail the inspection after the race keep their win. In theory, a winning car that fails inspection after the race probably had some kind of advantage during the race that helped it win. So, it seems like the best way to punish them would be to take that win away from them. France and NASCAR, on the other hand, don't agree. We'd rather you always see the whole race, including the winner, before you leave the track. We still want to do that. We think we can punish and scare people away. If someone makes a big mistake, which doesn't happen often, but does happen sometimes, we think we can punish them well without taking away the win. And we can stop it from happening again in the future. By the way, sometimes these rules are broken by accident. That does happen often. A team might have just missed something by a little bit, which throws them off. This is called an infraction. It probably didn't affect the performance in any way. We wouldn't want to take away a win, but they did something wrong, so we want to make sure they get the right punishment. In the past, that's how we've looked at it. We like how it works and how it feels. If you find the video so interesting so far, don't forget to subscribe. You will help me a lot with it. Let's move on quickly. Even though the governing body doesn't take away wins, the punishment is sometimes the same if a team fails an inspection for the same reason. If a driver fails the post-race inspection for something that NASCAR thinks was done on purpose, they usually lose championship points as a result. But since the chase was made, this situation has become less clear. Before the chase, and especially the newer version of the chase, losing a lot of points was almost as bad as losing a win in terms of the overall effect. With the way the chase is set up right now, a driver's points don't necessarily matter during the first 26 races because if he keeps winning, he will most likely get into the chase. In the last 10 races, a driver's spot in the next round of the chase is locked in with a win even if they lose points. Now, let's know how our NASCAR numbers assigned. When professional athletes get their numbers, they almost always choose them, unless the number is retired or a well-known player is already wearing it. In NASCAR, however, driver numbers are given out in a different way. NASCAR gives out numbers however they want. NASCAR has 100 numbers, ranging from 0 to 99. They will be adaptable to teams that ask for certain numbers, as long as those numbers are available. The NASCAR Cup Series hasn't retired a number yet, but they won't give out numbers that were used by well-known drivers just yet. Below, we'll explain in detail how NASCAR gives its drivers their numbers and why they do it that way. We will also talk about the stories behind famously requested numbers and find out if NASCAR has ever given out the scary number 13, and if so, how it did in the Cup Series. Do you already know how the numbers are actually distributed in NASCAR? Let me know in the comments. Most of the time, NASCAR gives car numbers based on what the team or driver wants. If the team or driver doesn't ask for a number, a random number is given to them. NASCAR owns all of the numbers and can give them out however they want. If they need to, they can even take a number away from a driver or team. During the early days of NASCAR, when there were a lot of competitors in a single season, drivers even used numbers in the triple digits. Other drivers, like J.D. McDuffie, asked to be given a free number because they were easy to write down and remember. This number was 70 for McDuffie, and he used it for most of his 29-year NASCAR career. NASCAR drivers can't just take any number they want, unlike what you can see in most professional sports these days. In the NFL, for example, players who switch teams may buy their number from a less well-known player who wore it the season before. One good example is Tom Brady. When Brady signed with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers after leaving the New England Patriots, he wore his familiar number 12 jersey, even though Chris Godwin wore it in Tampa. Between 1989 and 2000, Deion Sanders played for 5 different teams, but he always wore his famous number 21. This is not true for NASCAR drivers. Tony Stewart quit Joe Gibbs Racing to help run Stewart-Haas Racing with Gene Haas. Gibbs kept the number 20 car, and Stewart finished his career driving the number 14 car. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is in the same boat. When he joined Hendrick Motorsports, he changed his number from 8 to 88. One important thing to keep in mind is that NASCAR owns all the numbers and gives licenses to certain teams to use them. They give drivers and race teams numbers based on whether or not that number is already taken. NASCAR can even take a team's number away if they want to. Teams must also give NASCAR back the numbers they were given. They can't give the number to another team unless NASCAR gives them permission to do so. In the end, NASCAR gives out and reuses numbers. There is no rail plan for how they are given out, but drivers and race teams can ask for numbers if they are available. If 2 teams ask for the same number, NASCAR will give it to the team that asked for it first. Most of the time, NASCAR will give the number to the team that asked for it. Here are some famous requests for NASCAR numbers. Back in 1992, Rick Hendrick hired Jeff Gordon to drive for him. Hendrick's team had the right to use the numbers 5 and 25, so he asked Gordon to drive a number between 5 and 25, which was the famous 24. When Jimmy Johnson joined the team in 2002, Gordon and Hendrick agreed that Gordon would pay for half of the team and Hendrick would pay for the other half. Gordon thought that Johnson would be twice as good as he was, so he and Hendrick chose the 48 that was available. Gordon was right about Johnson, as it turned out. Dale Earnhardt Jr. joined Hendrick Motorsports in 2008. At first, he wanted to keep number 8, but his stepmother, Teresa Earnhardt, refused to give it back to NASCAR. Earnhardt Jr. drove the 88 for the rest of his career because NASCAR had more of them. And that's for today's video.
Yeah, we've waited for our time to come, calculated.
We sincerely hope you enjoyed the video. If so, give it a like and share it with your friends and family. Let us know if you have any questions or comments in the section below. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel to see more of our incredible videos. You can also watch our other videos that have been specially selected for you. Look forward to seeing you in the next video.